Dramatic demonstration on a serious subject as protesters take their message to a Missouri senator. They held several mock funerals in front of Senator Roy Blunt's Columbia office today. Good afternoon. I'm Brittany Pieper.
And I'm Jim Rick. Thanks for joining us. It was a protest against the GOP-led health care bill to replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. KOMU8's Carla Valcourt was there, and she joins us here in the studio. Carla? Ryan Ferguson is back in the news. He settled part of his lawsuit against the Columbia Police Department. It's expected to be finalized later this week or next. No details were given. Ferguson was sentenced to 40 years in prison for the 2001 death of Columbia Tribune sports editor Kent Heithold. Ferguson was released in 2013. His lawsuit says police fabricated evidence, coerced witnesses, and failed to investigate other possible suspects.
Boone County deputies arrested a second person for a double shooting at a gas station last week. A 15-year-old was taken into custody this morning in Jefferson City. He's accused of hindering prosecution and delinquent behavior. The shooting happened at the Quick Store near the Lake of the Woods exit on June 18th. 2 women were shot. 20-year-old Alyssa Thorpe was arrested yesterday for her accused involvement. A new state task force is targeting a massive and growing problem in the Show Me State: your roads. The Transportation Task Force met today for the first time at the Capitol, focusing on one of the big questions: funding. KOMU8's Evan Locknett was at the meeting, and he's here now in the studio to tell us what task force members had to say.
Boone County residents might feel safer knowing their emergency response teams will be FEMA trained this fall. 75 Boone County workers will go to FEMA's campus in Maryland for a 4-day disaster preparedness course. Boone County was accepted to the program in 2005 as well. Back then, the EMS director, Terry Castle, was with the Columbia Fire Department.
There were many people that I had never met before in county government, even in city government, and I worked for the city, that I got to spend time with, sit around the table, work through problems, work through exercises, and then when we had a flood in 2007, those same faces were sitting around that table.
Emergency management is already working to make sure there's no shortage of personnel here as the workers spend 4 days in Maryland.
After facing backlash following their proposed version of a new health care bill last week, Republicans are back to the drawing board. NBC's Blaine Alexander reports from the Capitol, where the GOP is confident it will get the job done, even if it means reaching across the aisle to do it.
Americans now taking their health care frustrations straight to their senators on Capitol Hill and back home. Today, Republicans going back to the drawing board.
We know that we cannot afford to delay on this issue.
Not enough GOP support for version 1, so senators now scrambling to write a more appealing bill by Friday. Will it look entirely different from what's already on the table?
To the casual observer, the final bill isn't going to look a lot different than what we're looking at now. There'll be some tweaks, and they might be looking at things like slowing the rollout of the Medicaid changes.
GOP leaders trying to win over both moderates and conservatives and can only afford to lose 2 votes. President Trump today celebrating the world champion Chicago Cubs, predicting a health care home run.
We could have a big surprise with a great health care package.
Republicans feeling pressure to reach outside of their own party.
I think we should work with Democrats.
That's what we should have done from the beginning.
Possible bipartisanship inside, while outside, a glimpse of what may be awaiting senators when they head home for their holiday break. Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Washington.
Despite Republicans moving forward with the plan, it appears the public is not going along with it. A new Quinnipiac poll shows only 16% of voters approve of the GOP's efforts to replace Obamacare.
The Senate Intelligence Committee was back at work today focusing on Russia's efforts to interfere in European elections. The panel of experts were questioned about Russia's attempts to disrupt elections in France and Montenegro and Germany's upcoming election. A former American diplomat says there's no doubt Russia undermined elections in Europe.
Today, the head of the Catholic Relief Services Organization says the U.S. travel ban on 6 Muslim-majority countries was, quote, very troubling. Lane Bunkers spoke in the Kenyan capital where he oversees Catholic humanitarian assistance. The Supreme Court allowed President Trump to go ahead with a limited version of his ban. The justices will hear full arguments in October in the case.
Here's what's happening right now. Firefighters are battling a 6-alarm fire in Boston. It started about 2:30 this afternoon at a 6-story building under construction. Flames were shooting through the roof. No injuries have been reported. Also in Massachusetts, a man was sentenced to life in prison in the death of a 2-year-old girl known as Baby Doe. Michael McCarthy was sentenced today after being convicted of second-degree murder in the death of Bella Bond. Millions of people shared a computer-generated image of the victim to identify her after her body washed up in the Boston Harbor. The girl's mother, Rochelle Bond, pleaded guilty to being an accessory after helping McCarthy dispose of the body.
A Ten Commandments monument was destroyed this morning, less than 24 hours after its installation on state capitol grounds in Arkansas. Police arrested Michael Reed this morning for driving a car into the monument. Authorities say this video is from Reed's Facebook page. It shows him talking and then crashing into the monument and breaking it into multiple pieces. And this was not a first for Reed. In 2014, he was arrested for slamming into a monument at the Oklahoma State Capitol. Boston police arrested a suspect after someone vandalized the New England Holocaust Museum. Police say someone broke a glass pane before 2 a.m. It was part of a 54-foot glass towers that have numbers representing the tattoos on each Holocaust victim's arm. Witnesses say they saw a man throw a rock at the panel.
A federal judge ordered a father and son to prison after their egg company caused a huge salmonella outbreak in 2010. Peter DeCoster and his father, Austin, will both serve time in federal prisons. They pleaded guilty to selling tainted food. The salmonella outbreak resulted in the recall of 550 million eggs. As many as 56,000 customers got sick.
Felt more like summer today. Let's send it over to Tori to see how long the warmer temperatures will stick around. Hey, thanks a lot, Bernie. Definitely felt.
Tori, thank you very much. Later in the show, scientists have developed a new way to give vaccines.
Plus, why a White House warning might have saved lives.
You're taking a live look over the Columbia Regional Airport on this. Hey, what day of the week is it, Tori? Kenton?
Hump day.
Yes, it is. It's Hump Day. It's 5:09. This is KOMU 8 News, first at 5. Coverage you can count on. All right, and of course, make sure you join the KOMU 8 fan club.
Yeah.
All right, Tori, thank you very much. After the break, which country could be the next to legalize gay marriage?
Plus, why the UN ambassador says the White House might have saved lives in Syria.
Spain's Interior Ministry says police arrested 6 suspected members of ISIS in Spain, Britain, and Germany. The statement says investigations started in 2015 when police saw videos that documented the recruitment and travel of a young Muslim from Spain to Syria. The ministry says the cell recruited new members and promoted ISIS activities.
United Nations Ambassador Nikki Haley says the White House warning against the Assad regime in Syria might have saved lives. Haley told a House committee the U.S. recently saw similar activity in Syria as it did before the regime's deadly chemical attack in April. The warning was issued in a White House statement Monday night.
And so I think that by the president calling out Assad, I think by us continuing to remind Iran and Russia that while they choose to back Assad, that this was something we were not going to put up with.
Haley's appearance was part of an annual hearing on the UN budget. British prosecutors charged 6 people today in a 1989 stadium collapse where 96 soccer fans were crushed to death. More than 2,000 Liverpool soccer fans flooded into a standing room section behind a goal at Hillsborough Stadium. The victims were smashed against metal anti-riot fences or trampled.
The legal committee of the German parliament set the stage for a vote on gay marriage. The committee passed the draft on same-sex marriage today. Many lawmakers want to vote this week.
Scientists have developed a new way to give vaccines
without a lot of pain. That's coming up.
Soon, people might get flu vaccines without the pain. Scientists at Georgia Tech developed a skin patch that uses tiny dissolvable needles to give the vaccine. Beginning experiments show the patch is safe, effective, and patients could actually give it to themselves. A new study shows many older Americans are not getting the flu or other recommended vaccines. In 2015, around 2/3 of seniors never had a shingles vaccine, and nearly half did not have current tetanus shot. About 1/3 of older people, or people older than 65, did not get a flu or pneumococcal vaccine. And wallpaper could be making people sick. New research from France shows toxins from fungus growing on wallpaper might get into the air. An estimated 20 to 40% of buildings in Northern Europe and North America have visible fungus. We'll be right back. Here's a look at our top story today. Opponents of the Republican health care plan held a mock funeral to protest the passage of that bill. KOMU8's Carla Valcourt is here in the studio to tell us more about what the protesters had to say. Carla?
Saturday, lots of sunshine for this upcoming weekend.
All righty.